Hello everyone and welcome to my latest video. So this video I'm going to be covering something that I feed my birds. I've been doing it for many years, though only recently I've switched it up a little bit and got sort of a little bit more modern. So I'm going to run you through how I make my sprouted seed. Now some people also don't go to the trouble of sprouting it and they feed soaked seed. It's probably not that common these days anymore to do that, but yeah, I like to sprout the seed, and it's really nutritious for the birds, especially when they have young ones. Going back a lot of years, I was doing this on quite a large scale when I had a lot of birds, and was feeding it to a lot of parrots. Especially I found beneficial when they had young ones to sprout sunflower seed. They really love that and eat that with relish, not literally. And yeah, it's something I like to give my birds. Right now in here in Melbourne, it's winter and the birds don't really need it so much. So I generally give them probably once a week or twice a week. I give them a dose. So I would usually have one sort of sprouting. I've actually got two of these jars. I'd usually have one sprouting and one sort of soaking at the same time. And that way I've got sort of an alternative lot to give them. Now at the end of this video I will show you the end product and I'll put it in the aviary and I'll do a little bit of a video of my starfinches enjoying it. It's usually one of the few foods that they'll quite happily all gather together to eat without fighting like my dogs are right now. But yeah, I'm going to run you through now the process of sprouting seed. Now I am using my finch mix at the moment, which is right here, but it works equally as well for parrot mixes or budgie mixes. Like I said, if I was keeping parrots solely, I would consider just doing sunflower seeds. But yeah, this is going to be my finch mix. Now this is sort of a standard D cup size. I've only got 6 finches at the moment and they're not breeding, so I would even probably say that this is a little bit excessive. I would probably normally do about half a D cup, but I want to give you guys a good view of what I'm doing and the end product, so I'm going to do a little bit more than what I would normally do. I also use a product called AviCleanse, which is from VetaFarm, which is I believe it's an Australian brand. I could be wrong, but it's just to help protect drinking water from germs and green slime, but it works equally as well in this situation to stop any sort of fungus growing on the seed as we sprout it. I wouldn't say it's necessary, but it's something I've come to do in more recent years when I've had a lot more expensive finches, such as blue Gouldians. I just like to make sure, you know, for the price of this little bottle, it just protects that little bit of danger that can come with sprouted seed. And this is very cheap. At the moment I only have the 100ml bottle, but it does obviously come in a larger size bottle too. And last but not least, and most importantly probably, I have my sprouting jar. Now this is just a jar with a screw top lid, and instead of having a solid lid, it's got this stainless steel mesh. Now in the past I have used alternatives. I've only actually recently gone into this system of these jars, and I've got a couple of them. I think they're fantastic. They hold a lot of seed if you want to go a bit higher, but I actually find it works better with the less seed that you have. I think it just helps allow the seeds to germinate, maybe get a bit of oxygen through them. I'm not sure, but I find the less seed you put in actually works better. But in the past I have used alternatives, and I'll show you a couple of those right now. So one alternative is ice cream containers. Use those for many years and just poke holes in the lid, and it works almost exactly the same as this, but it's plastic obviously. And of course you get the joy of emptying out the ice cream tub of ice cream, which is always a bonus. I think back when I was keeping my larger aviaries and I had, you know, around 100 birds, I had multiple ice cream containers going every day. Another alternative, of course, is like these takeaway containers, and same thing. You can just put a lid on it, poke some holes in it, allow you to drain the water out, and they work just as equally as good too. And if you have to throw them out or they break, it's no big deal. Okay, so of course I forgot I had the dishwasher on. So hopefully the sound of that didn't become too annoying in the early part of this video. I have waited for it to finish and I think we'll be okay now. Yeah, so onto the jar. It's really great. It has these indentations on the outside. And of course, when you give this a hand wash or it's a bit wet, some jars and glass, of course, can become a bit slippery. I find this really helps you hang on to it, so you're not too worried about dropping it or breaking it, which is a big bonus. So yeah, I have become completely converted to these jars. So as I mentioned earlier, I'll put a link in the description below so you can check out Queenslander Avery's online and have a look. I actually can't remember how much these are. From memory, Australian dollars, they're somewhere around circa sort of 16 to 18, I believe. I could be wrong, but yeah, they're definitely worth checking out. I'm not endorsed by the company at all. It's just a website that I use, and yeah, just putting it out there if you guys are interested to go check them out. Okay, so on to the sprouting. Now, I've pretty much explained everything we're going to do. What we're going to do is soak the seed in some water in this jar for 24 hours, and that's going to allow the seeds to hold enough water and germinate. We're going to add a bit of the AviCleanse while we're soaking it, just a few drops, just to stop any fungus from growing. Now this stuff is safe to put in drinking water, so it's more than safe enough to put in some seed that is sprouting or soaking at the time. And we've got our seed here now. As I said, this is probably a little bit more than what I would normally do, but I want to give you some good vision of the sprouted seed at the end, and it's going to come up a lot better with some more seed. I definitely recommend trying out a smaller amount first and see how much your birds are going to eat. Obviously, if they have young ones, they're going to eat a lot more. But yeah, so that's basically what we're going to do. So now I'm going to put this seed here inside the jar, and I'm going to show you the next part of the process. Okay, so the seed is in the jar, so that's pretty much a full decup there. Like I said, it's probably a bit more than what I normally use, but yeah, that's no issue. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rinse this seed off first of all. You'll see when you first fill it with water, the seed can sort of give off a little bit of dust or particles, and yeah, it's just good to rinse those out. So I'm going to give it a good rinse, fill it up, rinse it a couple of times, and then I'm going to fill it up almost to the halfway point. I'd say probably about a third. You want at least enough water, say an inch above the seed that you've got in there, because it will suck up a lot of the seed, and obviously you want it to soak as much seed as possible. So I'm going to show you how much water I'm going to put in, and then we'll go on to the next stage. Okay, so there we have it. So that's about, it's probably about an inch or 2 inches above the seed at the bottom there. Some of it will float, of course. Gradually, as it gets soaked up, it'll fall down. But that's basically how much water I'd put in to the seed. Maybe a little bit more water would have been fine. So I'm now going to add in some of the cleanser here, and I'll show you how much I put in of that, and we're going to let it soak. Okay, so I've got my bottle of AviCleanse here, and I've shaken it up. So I'll show you here, if I can do this without looking. So there you go, just a few drops. That's all it takes for, I might just put in an extra drop there. That's all it takes for something of this size. It's not much water in there. So it's just a bit of a safeguard. But yeah, I definitely have started using it in recent years, and I haven't had any problems with any fungus growing in there or mold. So yeah, it's a product that I like to use, and yeah, I recommend it. You can find it online very readily here in Australia. I'm not sure about overseas, but I'm sure you have a comparative product now. That's my puppy there having a bit of a cry that I'm not paying them attention. So I'm going to go and keep him happy for a little bit, and going to have a bit of a chat about what we've done. Here's the little pup making all that noise. Okay, anyway, back to the subject at hand. So yeah, so basically we're going to let this soak now for 24 hours. A bit of water there. You don't have to do anything more at all. It's that simple. I do recommend, though, keeping out of the sun. The direct light will sort of create the possibility of a bit more sort of fungus, etc. Yeah, it's that simple, really. Just put it somewhere. It's not going to get super hot or anything. I have experimented with soaking it while it's in the fridge. Yeah, that seems to have worked as well if you're somewhere that's a very hot environment or it's over summertime. But we're going to leave that now for 24 hours, and I'm going to come back to you, and we're going to skip ahead in time. And the next time you see this, it will be 24 hours later. Okay, guys, so here we are, 24 hours later. As you can see, most of the seed is sort of soaked into the bottom there, and the water's become sort of a little bit of a tan sort of colour, and that's completely normal. I think that's just some of the tannins and stuff like that from the seeds sort of leaking into the water that we put in. It's completely normal. As you can see, though, there's no bubbles or any fungus or anything like that. And nothing's looking too weird, which is great. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to flush out this water. Now I'm going to attempt to show you that while doing one hand. So hopefully this works. But basically all we're going to do is flush out the water that's in there now and put some nice fresh water through the seed. And once the water comes through clear, it's no longer that sort of tan colour, we're going to move on to the sprouting stage. Okay, so I'm just going to pour out the discoloured water, and basically all we're going to do is flush it out. It's very simple, very easy. You can see if we just sort of pour it in there, it's still a little bit cloudy. I'm going to tip it out. It's one of the great things about these jars, is you don't have to worry about losing any seed or spilling anything anywhere. Sort of give it a good shake. Just tip it out now. Just gonna have a look. You'll find that the seed will have a little bit of a sort of a slight nutty smell to it. That's completely normal. As long as during none of these stages it smells really off, then that's fine. If you do have a smell of it and you're like, oh, that's disgusting, I'd probably tip it out and start again. Probably means somewhere in the process something has gone awry. But yeah, we did use the additive to the water there. That always helps. Don't think I've ever really had a problem with it at any stage. I have heard of people saying that when they have sprouted seed, it's given off a bad odour, but usually it's the kind of smell you would imagine germinating seed makes, which is yeah, nothing too unpleasant. But yeah, you can definitely smell the difference when there's a bit of a change in the seed. Okay, so we're just going to give that little bit of a shake now, bit of a flush out there, and that's it. So the next stage I'm going to do is I have the dish drainer here, which is pretty much everyone has a dish drainer next to their sink for when you dry dishes, wash dishes, etc. You can see there the seed is nice and clean. And it just all comes down to the bottom there, and basically I just leave it on a bit of an angle like so. And any extra water, you can see it just dripping out there, will drip out the bottom there, out of the stainless steel mesh. Now, one thing you want to do is keep on top of this and keep giving it a rinse out. Some people recommend at least once a day. I think to be safe and just to keep the seed sprouting, I do it probably about 4 times a day, maybe even 5. Basically, whenever I come to the kitchen to maybe get a drink or to cook or anything like that, I just give it a quick rinse out. You don't have to use a lot of water, but I think it's always a good idea, and I recommend that, just giving it a good rinse, and just do the same thing. Every time you've done that, come and put it in the dish drainer here. I like to leave it on just a little bit of an angle. And I also like to spread the seed out where possible. You can clump it all right at the bottom like that. But yeah, I like to sort of spread it out a little bit, so it's not sort of all on top of each other. And essentially that's it. So I'm going to come back to this. Usually it takes about 2 days to sprout. Sometimes it's quicker, sometimes it's longer, just depending on your conditions, temperature, whether it's humid or I'm not sure. But yeah, and some seed takes longer than others, definitely. Sometimes you'll find just some of the seed is sprouted. Sometimes you'll find you might want to leave it for an extra day. But anyway, we're going to come back when this seed's ready, and I'll let you know what that time frame is. It's usually about 2 days. And then I'm going to give you a look at how it looks when it's sprouting. Basically, you'll just see very small sort of roots appear out of the seed. And as soon as it starts doing that, that's when you want to feed it to the birds. That's generally when it's at its sort of most nutritious, and when the birds are going to be most enthusiastic about eating it. I find if you let them sprout too long, the birds actually don't become interested anymore. Look, they can, but yeah, they're most interested when it's just sprouting. Okay, so I'm going to leave that now, and we're going to come back to it in a couple of days, and we're going to take a look. Okay, so it's now been 2 days, and the seed has started to sprout. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get you a clear picture or not. But yeah, they've got little sprouts starting to come out, and that's when they're actually at their most nutritious. And it's actually when the birds seem to enjoy them the most. So I've given it a good rinse off, as I stated earlier, about 4 or 5 times each day. I'm going to give it a final rinse, and then I'm going to put it into a couple of dishes, because I have my zebra finches separate from my star finches. And then I'll get a few little pieces and put them on my finger or something, so you can have a bit of a closer look. Now, as you can see, another good thing with these jars is when you give them the final rinse and you turn it upside down to get the water out, all the seed sort of gathers down in the lid with the mesh underneath. So you don't get too much wastage out of your container. Any leftovers you can just throw outside for other birds to enjoy. But as you can see there, I've got a fair bit in the lid here. So that's probably about twice as much as I would normally do. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get any visuals there of the seed actually sprouting, but it's just sprouting. I could probably leave it maybe for another day, but I think it's almost at the perfect level now. So I'm just going to just stop the camera for a second. I'm going to divide it up into the 2 bowls, and we'll have a bit of a closer look. So there you go. As you can see, they've just started sprouting, which is sort of the perfect amount of sort of nutrition, and without letting them go too far, and just having them sprouts enough where the birds will really enjoy them. At this stage, you can put some vitamin powder on top, or some people put like cod liver oil, soak them in a bit of that before they feed them to the birds. I remember my grandfather many years ago doing that. I actually just give it to them straight like this. I give them plenty of multivitamins in their water, and powdered supplements and stuff like that separately. So I don't really find the need to do that. But yeah, it looks really nice, this seed. And it's nice and freshly sprouted, so the birds are going to love this. So I'm going to take it into the aviary now and let the star finches have a pick through it. They should be pretty keen for it. They really enjoy this stuff, and it's one of the few times they tend to get together and all eat at the same time without too much fighting. Let's hope. So before I go to that footage, I'll just say thanks for watching this video. I hope this might give you some ideas on how to sprout your own seed. Or maybe you already do, and you were just interested in seeing another person do it. Perhaps you've never even thought of doing it before and you're just keen to check it out, but I hope everyone's got something out of this video. It was a lot of fun doing it. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.